If you haven't heard the news yet, the superintendent for the public school system in Des Moines, Iowa, was arrested by ICE, and is facing deportation. This person has something to say about it.
You want to see the results of DEI Democrats in a public education system in a Midwestern city? Meet the public education superintendent for Des Moines, Iowa. Busted by ICE just recently in possession of a loaded handgun at the time of arrest. The ironic part is all the dumb, white, liberal Americans scream guns are bad. We need to get rid of the guns to protect everybody. But yeah, even this guy who's not born in America had a gun to protect himself, and he's part of the public education system run by the Democrats of Des Moines. That dude overstayed his welcome. He was an illegal immigrant, and they didn't even screen for any type of information pertaining to that. They just went ahead and hired the guy and put him at superintendent position. And for all you entry-level Democratic union teachers that are complaining about not getting paid enough, you fucking deserve it, you idiots. This is the salary of a superintendent as of 2023 and 2024. Altogether, that illegal alien with benefits and salary was pulling about $300,000 out of taxpayer funds. If I lived in Des Moines and I had a child in the public education system and she had a possibility of being introduced to something like that, I would be lighting up this Super Karen Final Boss haircuts line every 5 seconds, yelling at her.
Now that gentleman just painted you one hell of a picture, didn't he? It sounded like some guy snuck into the country illegally and the Democrats just gave him a job running a school system. Look at this. He had a gun on him. I find the gun part ironic, considering these are the guys that keep telling us that everybody should be armed. I mean, they even want to arm these horrible school teachers that they claim are indoctrinating our youth. But now here's an educator with a loaded firearm on him, and now all of a sudden the Constitution doesn't equate to concealed carry. That's the only permit I need. Anyway, let's talk about this superintendent in a little bit more detail than that particular content creator was willing to go into. From the Des Moines Register, Des Moines Public School Superintendent Ian Roberts arrested by ICE. Des Moines Public School Superintendent Ian Roberts was arrested by U.S. Immigration Custom Enforcement for allegedly being in the United States illegally, according to federal officials. Tricia McLaughlin, a spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security, confirmed Roberts' Friday, September 26th arrest and detention, and said that a court had issued a final order of removal in May of 24 for the deportation of the Guyana native and longtime U.S. resident. She said Roberts abandoned his car and fled from police on Friday, no shit, and was allegedly in possession of a loaded handgun, a large amount of cash, and a hunting knife. He was arrested in what DHS described as a targeted enforcement operation. Sounds to me like somebody that was being prepared for the shit that was going to be coming his way. At a 3 p.m. news conference, School Board Chair Jackie Norris said the district was still working to learn more about what happened. We do not have all the facts. There is much we don't know, she said. However, what we do know is Dr. Roberts has been an integral part of our school community since he joined 2 years ago. She said earlier in the day that Associate Superintendent Matt Smith will serve as interim superintendent until further notice. Smith previously served as interim superintendent during the 22-23 school year. In a statement Friday evening, the district said it had not been formally notified by ICE about this matter, nor have they been able to speak with Dr. Roberts since his detention. Roberts, age 54, has served as Des Moines Public School Superintendent since July of 23. In other words, a year before the final order of removal was put in. In an emailed statement, DHS calls Roberts a criminal illegal alien. Roberts allegedly sped away when officers approached his vehicle and identified themselves, and officers found his vehicle abandoned in a nearby wooded area. Inside was the handgun, $3,000 in cash, and a hunting knife. Roberts' official DMPS bio says he enjoys hunting. In response to the reports of a loaded gun reportedly found in Roberts' vehicle, the district said Friday evening that its policy dictates that weapons are prohibited on school grounds or at school-sponsored or school-related activity. DHS states that Roberts has existing weapon possession charges from February of 2020. It's not clear where those charges were filed or whether they were resolved. Records of those existing charges were not immediately available or provided on Friday. Quote, Dr. Roberts has a previous firearm charge related to a hunting rifle, which he disclosed to the DMPS board during the hiring process. He provided sufficient context and explanation of the situation to move forward in the hiring process. He has also spoken publicly about this experience, DMPS said in a release. In other words, they knew about it. There wasn't anything that was withheld, like the content creator said. However, that charge was from 2021 in Pennsylvania. In its statement Friday evening, the Des Moines district said a third-party comprehensive background check had been conducted on Roberts, and he would have been required to verify employment eligibility for all employees. In this case, Dr. Roberts completed the I-9 employment eligibility verification form and submitted the required document, reads the statement from Phil Roeder, the district's Director of Communications and Public Affairs. The statement also said that district had no knowledge of Roberts' order of removal. Roberts grew up in Brooklyn, New York City. Federal records had previous reporting said that he was born in Guyana. Before a career in education, Roberts competed in the 2000 Sydney Olympic Games in a track and field for Guyana as a mid-distance runner. Roberts became the superintendent of the Des Moines public school system in July of 23, as I mentioned earlier. He succeeded longtime Superintendent Tom Ahart, who resigned at the end of the 2021-2022 school year. The DHS statement says Roberts had entered the United States on a student visa in '99. It also stated that Roberts was working for the school district despite having no work authorization. The suspect was arrested in possession of a loaded handgun, yada, yada, yada. We went through all of this already. This should be a wake-up call for all our communities to the great work of that our officers are doing every day to remove public safety threats. How this illegal alien was hired without work authorization and final order of removal and a prior weapons charge is beyond comprehension and should alarm the parents. Well, like we just pointed out, the board already knew about the prior weapons charges and context was explained. Excuse me, I'm allergic to the bullshit that's being spewed in this article. How he was hired was he conducted a background check, and he has a thorough resume. And the final order of removal came a year after he was hired, and the school board was never notified of it. Not quite the picture that was painted. Did the guy overstay his visa? Yes. Was he in possession of a gun when he was not legally allowed to do so while under an order of removal? Yes. Is he a public threat? The guy's been in and out of this country for over 30 years. He's been employed by numerous school districts across the country. He's a career educator. But this is the way they're going to paint him, right? That this guy snuck into the country and they hired an illegal immigrant without doing their due process. No, they did their due process. They absolutely did. What's going on in this country is grotesque and abhorrent.